Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. The heavens start from the realm of ninja. Is it such a big grudge? As for appearing out of thin air at the entrance of the community, you'll have to kill me. What does it concern me about your performance? And you have sent me to a different world. If you send me better, you will come up with the Uchiha clan. How do you let me play? In just a few years, the Xiaozi, Muyi F4, and Yujibwa, the brainless leader of two, will be exterminated. If you have a golden finger, that's okay. I don't have too high requirements either. As long as you have an invincible golden finger that can quickly reach the level. What gives me a way to travel to a different world? It takes enough time to do so. If there isn't enough time, isn't it a trap for me? Can I choose a different world on my own? If I can choose for myself, then I will lose control of my superpowers. My girlfriend is a superhero, a supervillain, and those worlds that can obtain superpowers. What? My first world is the zombie world. Although I think Uncle Gio is really good, he can't bring me back. Isn't he trying to kill me purely? Can you give me some pleasure? Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Salted fish regarded as performance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Die for me quickly, don't hit me, let me fight back. In a rental house called Electronic City in many cities of Dragon Kingdom, a young man with a quarter of white hair on his head was frantically typing the keyboard as if he had a grudge against it. From the perspective of the youth, they can see that they are controlling a character and attacking each other. Both characters are injured and holding weapons. When releasing weapon moves, blue, gold, and other colors will appear on their bodies. Before the game was officially launched, it was adapted from the butterfly game. As the opposite character's sword struck, the last bit of health of the character chosen by the youth was also cleared, and the screen turned black. You're too amazing. If I don't even agree with the wall, I'll accept you. You're just so excited when you hit a drone, and you can still make the drone fight back. You're too talented. That's right, the mode played by the youth is human-machine mode. Although it's not the simplest mode, if you play it carefully, unless you just get in touch, you won't be killed in 2 rounds. Quickly abdicate and give up, I need to go and rank. The young man stood up helplessly from his seat upon hearing the words, then shook his cigarette box, shook a cigarette from inside, lit it for himself, and sat quietly on the side. The little black skinny guy who was originally waiting behind the young man to play games logged into his own account and said, "Oldly, when are you planning to find a job? You've been lying there for 2 years now, and you haven't been good at writing novels or working in an electronics factory. If you don't find a way, you might be in trouble with your mortgage." The person known as Lao Li is our protagonist Li Qiuxiao. She is 28 years old and used to be a professional eunuch writer in the street. After attending a vocational school for 2 years, she went to Jialatin University and stayed there until the age of 26. She has a salty fish personality and feels that staying at home alone is meaningless. Anyway, she has internet and food, and she doesn't have to pay rent. However, the elderly couple above are not willing. Her children, who are the same age as Li Qiuxiao, can go to kindergarten to play soy sauce. As a result, she is single and has not even held a girl's hand until now. Mom sees the fight, Dad sees the sorrow. These 2 words refer to Li Qiuxiao. If you carefully look at her situation, she is not so bad that she can't even talk about a partner. Although she was struggling in writing novels before, she still has a net income of 4,000 to 5,000 yuan per month, which is not much different from an electronics factory. She rarely goes out and can still save money. She also used her savings and some sponsorship from the elderly couple to pay a down payment. There are standards for finding a partner, such as having a car and a house, but the premise must be having a partner. Once the standards are completed, the most important partner is not there. What's this? The old couple is talking to Li Qiuxia, and Li Qiuxia's original words are that she doesn't want to find a partner. There are too few girls of the same age in her generation, so she needs to save resources for her age. In the future, she will decide to take good care of the old couple. As for the matter of passing on the family line in the future, let's leave it to her younger brother, as she is not an only child. After hearing Li Qiuxia's words, Li Qiuxia's father and mother immediately became unhappy. What will take good care of us and not get married? I think you want to send us the old couple away in advance. Wait for your brother, wait for your brother. Because Li Qiuxia's words made the old couple's blood pressure skyrocket, one took out the 7 wolves from Zuchuang, the other took out a broom, pulled out our protagonist and told the protagonist not to come back until they found a partner. Unable to go back home, Li Qiuxia had to go and seek refuge with her childhood friend Li Meng. Her childhood friend was from an electronics factory, where there were no shortage of girls. Therefore, Li Qiuxia wanted to see if she could find a girl inside, but the fact proved that she was overthinking. Firstly, after arriving at the workshop, Li Qiuxia was assigned a standing position. Since finishing her job at the vocational school, Li Qiuxia has been sitting at work for almost 10 years now. Standing for a night would make it difficult for him to walk steadily after work, which is not a problem. Additionally, the group assigned to him did not have any girls, which directly ruined Li Qiuxia's goals. If it were just these two things, it would be fine. The long line on the line kept chattering away, perhaps because she often got stuck. Li Qiuxia was particularly averse to noisy environments, especially when someone kept chattering in her ear. So, after working for a few days, Li Qiuxia ran away with a bucket. The same goes for the several jobs she found later, whether she needs to stand in a dust-free uniform, the line leader nags endlessly, or she doesn't like it. After tossing around for several months, Li Qiuxia suddenly thinks that she has already come out, the heavenly emperor is far away, and her father and mother are no longer by her side. Does she know what the situation is on her side? With this idea in mind, Li Qiuxia began to put on a show and rented 2 rooms and a living room with Fa Xiaotong. She spent a few days a month writing a few bills and paying rent for food and drink. The rest of the time was spent playing mobile phones and games there. As for the mortgage, she used her previous savings to pay for it herself. Although it was a bit empty-handed, it was easy. In this way, Li Qiuxia wasted 2 years and even didn't go home during these 2 years. His parents urged him to go home, saying he was busy, or he was deceived by high wages during the Chinese New Year. When Li Qiuxia reminisced about the past, Li Meng had already finished playing a game. Unlike him, a rookie, Li Meng chose the single-player 3-row mode directly, and with his skills, as well as the essence of Lao Lu and Voldemort, he successfully played until the end. Look at our skills, I feel like I can become a broadcaster now. Upon hearing Li Meng's words, Li Qiuxia rolled her eyes in frustration and said, "Come on, as a broadcaster, you not only need to play well, but also liven up the atmosphere and make fans feel interesting. Otherwise, whoever looks at you, nobody looks at you, will give you a reward. As you know better, wipe it. There's no smoke left, hurry up and pack the whole pack of cigarettes, and bring a chicken leg rice along the way." The relationship between Li Qiuxia and Li Meng is very good. After all, they grew up playing together since childhood. Li Qiuxia has lived here for the past 2 years, and every time Li Meng finishes work, she will bring a portion for Li Qiuxia to eat. Therefore, when Li Meng is resting and hungry at home, she directly orders 2 takeout orders. Most of the time, she doesn't go out and only goes out when there are no cigarettes left. Although having the errand guy run errands is okay, the cost of running errands can buy a pack of cigarettes. Okay, I'll go buy some cigarettes and rice. Take your time playing. Do you want it on the hour? Okay, I'll have a good rest tomorrow. It's white at the hour. Just a bottle of Nyolan Mountain will do. It's not too good. After bringing her phone, Li Qiuxia walked out of the rental house, followed the elevator to the downstairs, and went to buy things. If it was just buying cigarettes, there were several shops in the community where she could buy them. However, if it was buying food, she had to go outside, but it wasn't too far, less than 200 meters away. In less than 7 minutes, Li Qiuxia had already bought cigarettes, rice, and a bottle of Nolanchen. During this time, there were 4 or 5 minutes waiting for 2 chicken leg rice dishes. With the supplies she had purchased, Li Qiuxia began to follow the original path back to the outside of the community. After looking around and realizing that there were no vehicles driving on either side to confirm their safety, Li Qiuxia prepared to return to the community. However, just as she had walked a street, less than 10 meters away from the entrance of the community, Li Qiuxia saw a truck appear out of thin air. It was indeed out of thin air. Li Qiuxia saw clearly that the person driving was a terrible old man who looked like he was in his 70s or 80s. Young man, who made you run around in the middle of the night? It's just a good time to boost your grandfather's performance. Let's go. Seeing the large truck rushing towards him, Li Qiuxia was immediately frightened. Before he could even recover, he felt a powerful force colliding with him. Then he felt like someone pulling him from behind and flew out in an instant. After landing on the ground again, Li Qiuxia felt spinning in pain all over her body. Vanima, you bad old man is very bad. I only left after seeing clearly, and you even hit me. This is considered murder. Although my life is a bit boring, I haven't grown tired of it yet. Why do I feel colder and colder? I don't want to go anymore, right? I'm just gone. I haven't found a partner yet, said Li Meng. I was a boy before I passed away, and when I got to the underworld, I would be trapped by bullets. Is that true? No, I have one more thing to do. Li Qiuxia, who was about to lose consciousness, suddenly thought of something. She took a last breath, clicked on her phone, deleted browsing records and some movies saved on it, and then cut off her last breath. After Li Qiuxia cleared the records and movies and completely breathed out, people from all directions outside, including security personnel, came over to check Li Qiuxia's situation. Thank you Mengxiang 2Zio for giving a reward of 100 VIP points. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 2. The Bad World. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Damn it, old man. I greet your ancestors and have offended you. I took the road at the entrance of the community. Didn't your coach teach you to slow down when you learn to drive? You really want performance. Your performance is like hitting and killing me, sending me to this world where I suffer. In a somewhat retro house, a child who appeared to be 5 or 6 years old was now full of national essence, and his eyes were red because he was too excited. Who is this child? This child was killed by Li Qiuxia, who was treated as a performance. When Li Qiuxia woke up, she discovered something special. She was reborn. If it were still the original world, rebirth would not be a particularly bad thing. When she was young, she could make money, write novels that had not yet been released, or create songs and movies that had not been released, and she would never be short of money in the future. But the worst thing is that Li Qiuxia was reborn, but not in modern times. Instead, she came to the world of Hokage and was the most conspiratorial of all, Mai. It should be noted that in Mai, both family and commoner descendants are very dangerous because there is a dangerous figure here, which is the oldest pot, the Ninja World Pot King, and the My Pot Shadow Village Group Collection. This old boy is not a good thing, and not only this old boy, but also his fellow disciples and brothers, without any fun. Well, even so, there is a way to break the situation. If you are a civilian, you can go to Yao Lamian Noodle Store and hold the leg of Yao. This may lead to an era of profound understanding. However, Li Qiuxia is not a civilian. If you can choose, Li Qiuxia would rather choose to be a civilian. Why do you say that? Isn't it convenient for family members to obtain chakras and ninjutsu? Why did Li Qiuxia have such thoughts? The reason is very simple, because Li Qiuxia's current name is Yuzibo Qiuxia, which is exactly the Yuzibo you know, who was destroyed by the great filial son, the neurotic Yuzibo Itachi, Yuzibo Daitu, the neurotic Yuzibo, and the high-ranking officials of Kiba such as Jitsuan Tuanzang. After learning this news, it was difficult for Li Qiuxia to maintain a stable mood. This Nima was just the beginning of a landslide. What's wrong? Although there are still several years before the night of extermination, can she grow up in such a short time? The parents of his predecessor, Yuji Bo Qiuxia, were just ordinary members of the Yuji Bo family. His father never awakened to right will eyes until his death, and his mother was a commoner of Kiba. Their qualifications were obvious, and even if they were optimized in the generation of Yuji Bo Qiuxia, how much could they improve? Furthermore, even if Yuzibo Qiuxia has extremely high qualifications and is extremely rebellious, can Qiuxia really gain enough strength before the extermination of the clan? You should know that the bad old masters of Muyi have a very tight eye on Yujibwa, and there are many neuroses in the clan. Even if their qualifications are against the sky, their chances of development are not high. What, you said you wanted resources from the senior management of the Yuzibo family to show your qualifications. That's right, your idea is very correct, but don't forget that you mentioned before that there are people from the dark and subordinate departments watching outside, and there are Yuzibo Jishue, a brain disability, and Yuzibo Itachi, a neurosis watching inside the family. You can guarantee that you won't spread it to others. Well, even if they are blind and can't see it, after giving you the resources to practice ninjutsu, you will always have to practice it. Whether you are practicing within the family or outside, you can still be found. You should know that there are people from the Hinata, Inazuka, and Oil Maiden clans in the Hikari and Dark departments. It's not good to find you, as long as you discover your qualifications. Jitsuan Tuanzang. Young man, you have good qualifications. Let me steal a tattoo for you. What are you unwilling to do? The experimental product, the Shiwan, is good. It's yours. Monkey Flying Sun / Young man, you have good aptitude. Fire brainwashing will help you understand. Why not listen? I think this child's thinking is a bit abnormal, it's up to you. There is no time for growth with good qualifications. If you have poor qualifications, just sit and wait until you're dead. As for sneaking out of Muyi, don't even think about it. Neither Yujibwa nor Muyi will let Qiuxia run out. Even if you sent me to this terrible world, even if it was you who sent me to this terrible world, you sent me earlier. Even if it was World War II, I accepted it. Although going to the battlefield is dangerous, there is still some way to survive as long as I survive. If I try to find a way, I can still run away. If you send me to this era, I am special. What's wrong with this? I don't want to die yet, I haven't lived enough. The more I think about autumn and summer, the more angry I become, and my eyes become redder, entangled in various negative emotions. If placed in the real world, it is estimated that there will not be many other situations in Kishia besides being in a state of anger, causing cerebral hemorrhage or red-eye disease. However, this is the world of Hokage, and the name of Kishia is Uchiha Kishia, and the Uchiha family has a blood inheritance limit to right will eyes. As Autumn Xia pondered, his negative emotions reached their limit. His eyes, like rabbits, seemed to break the bottleneck, and then he saw that they began to bleed. Black Goyu appeared on top of the crimson eyes, 1 Goyu, 2 Goyu, 3 Goyu. After 3 Goyu, he wanted to continue rising and form a pattern, but the pain in his eyes and brain made Autumn Xia unconscious. When Autumn Summer woke up again, it was already evening. The inside of the house was pitch black, with only the moonlight outside bringing a little light. In such an environment, if it were in the past, Autumn Summer might not have seen clearly. However, now, except for a slight pain in her eyes, she sees the surroundings very clearly. What's wrong with me? How did I end up in a coma? The original owner of this body really has bloodstained disease, right? I wipe it off. If that's the case, I won't even live until the night of extermination. Sigh, my eyes are so painful. It's not like my eyes are injured, right? Hurry up and turn on the light to see. According to Qiu Xia's memory, she found the switch of the light in the room and turned it on. Then she saw herself lying in the mirror. Qiu Xia was immediately startled, her eyes red, and her face covered in blood, looking a bit terrifying. What's going on? Did someone dig out my eyeballs when I was unconscious? No, I still have eyeballs. Did someone change my eyeballs? Wanama. What's going on? No, hurry up and clean it, otherwise, it's too scary. After making up her mind, Autumn and Summer first took a shower, changed into clean clothes, and then started cooking. That's right, she started cooking. After all, even if she was desperate for the future, she couldn't starve to death. Starvation is so uncomfortable. Instead of starving to death, it's better to wait until the night of the extermination, at least it's more enjoyable. There is not much to eat at home, but it is okay to have a full meal. I simply stewed a pot of vegetable congee, and Qiu Xia was thinking about what to do while drinking it. The first point is that I am determined not to go to the ninja school myself. After all, the role of ninja schools is not significant, and they are all basic things that family ninjas can learn on their own. It is good for ordinary ninjas, but it is not very important for family ninjas. One thing that Autumn and Summer have always been puzzled about is why they always let their family's descendants go to the ninja academy for cultivation. Even if the higher-ups give orders, they can still disguise themselves and cultivate some strength for their family, isn't it good? As for the questioning from the senior management of Kiba, this is also simple. They don't want to be ninjas, don't want to go out and do tasks. Why do you want to learn ninjutsu if you don't want to be a ninja? Who stipulates that you must be a ninja to learn ninjutsu? It's not just a commoner. As for not becoming a ninja, there are no expenses. This is really bullshit. Running a business casually cannot make money, which is no safer than carrying your own head through ups and downs to complete tasks every day. What, you say that being a ninja costs more, and I do have a lot of money in business. You say that being a ninja will make a contribution, and obtaining ninjutsu from Kiba is also good. However, you are from the Uchiha family, and Kiba can give you good ninjutsu without getting stuck. That's why you're so strange. Thank you to Reader 15205. Reward 100 VIP points. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 3. Opening up. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After dinner, Qiu Xia kept thinking about countermeasures, but no matter what, she couldn't come up with them. Whenever a new viewpoint appeared in her mind, it would be overturned by Qiu Xia. There were many things happening today, and Qiu Xia had a headache and eye pain, so she didn't think for too long. Qiu Xia fell asleep. I don't know how long it has been, but Qiu Xia felt that her surroundings were getting colder and colder. After being awakened from the cold, Qiu Xia looked around and suddenly widened her eyes. Where is this? I've traveled again. Or was the world of Hokage that I used to travel through a dream? Actually, I'm just waking up now. As she said these words, Li Qiuxia looked at her small arms and legs. That's right, is this my golden finger? Crossing to another world. Double doors. This is a really good thing. If it were a transcendent world, growing up in this world would be safer than growing up in a wooden leaf. No, I don't know where this world is yet. I need to ask someone, but where am I going to ask someone this night? Oh, there's light over there. Because she didn't know where she was currently, after discovering a bright spot, Li Qiuxia walked over like this. Although it was a bit dangerous in the unknown world, it was also very dangerous to continue staying in her original place. Yizhuang. After arriving at the bright place, Li Qiuxia found that there were 2 lanterns, and there was also a sign hanging above the lanterns, which read Yizhuang. After pondering for a while, Li Qiuxia raised her hand and knocked on the door. There's no village or shop around at night. Why don't you stay overnight here and see your luck? Even if it's dangerous, I'll accept it. Li Qiuxia knocked on the door time and time again, and when she knocked on it for the third time, a voice finally appeared from inside. Here, stop knocking, who? Accompanied by the sound of the door bolt falling. After the door was opened, Li Qiuxia saw a middle-aged man with a straight eyebrow. When Li Qiuxia looked at her, she also saw Li Qiuxia. First, she was taken aback, carefully looked at Li Qiuxia, and then frowned. What are you doing in Yizhuang at such a young age? Uncle, I used to sleep well at home. When I woke up, I arrived nearby and saw a light. I followed the lantern and came over. Uncle, may I ask where this is? Can I stay overnight here? Upon hearing Li Qiuxia's words, the middle-aged man with a straight eyebrow pondered for a moment and said, Come in. After bringing Li Qiuxia into the room, the middle-aged man poured a cup of hot water for her and said, Drink some hot water. Thank you, uncle. Li Qiuxia first thanked her and then drank hot water. After all, it was a bit cold outside just now. Call me Uncle Jiu, that's how they call me outside. This is the Yizhuang in Rinjia town. Look at the clothes on your body, they're not ordinary clothes. Why did you come out late at night? I don't know, wait. Li Qiuxia was about to answer Uncle Jiu's question when she exclaimed excitedly, The Yizhuang in Rinjia town, Uncle Jiu. While shouting, Li Qiuxia also carefully looked at Uncle Jiu. Yes, this facial shape, although younger than the person in memory, was the same person. After seeing the person clearly, Li Qiuxia knelt down and hugged Uncle Jiu's thigh, crying, Uncle Jiu, I suffer. Li Qiuxia's crying made Uncle Jiu no longer understand. He quickly comforted Li Qiuxia, Don't cry, child. Tell me what's going on, is it a ghost? Li Qiuxia wiped her tears and calmed her excitement for a moment before looking at Uncle Jiu and saying, Uncle Jiu, what I'm going to say next may seem unbelievable to you, but please don't interrupt me for now. After I finish speaking, I will explain it to you. Uncle Jiu, in fact, I am not from this world. The era I originally lived in was more than 100 years later. In our era, the Dragon Kingdom had already achieved a moderately prosperous society, and every household did not worry about food and drink. Few people starved to death. The reason why I met you is because in my original world, Uncle Jiu, you were a character from a movie script. In the movie, you were a Taoist from Mao Shan, but there were many disciples who deceived people. Yen is not a very difficult opponent, but due to your disciple, many difficulties have arisen. Of course, although these disciples are deceitful and love to cause trouble, sometimes they can still be helpful to you. Continuing to talk about me, I was originally a lazy young man lying flat, commonly known as a salted fish, and stayed there well. However, for some reason, when I went out to buy cigarettes at night, I met an old man who, like me, had a grudge against me. He drove a truck and killed me. When I woke up, I arrived at another world I had seen before, which was even worse, all twisted. Uncle Jiu, the original owner of my current identity, was a member of the Uchiha family. According to the anime I read, this family is going to be defeated by Uchiha Itachi. Li Qiuxia did not conceal her ninth uncle, but directly revealed her background. Why did she know exactly how ninth uncle came from? As for concealing her own identity, Li Qiuxia did not think about it. She felt that concealing her own identity was too troublesome, and ninth uncle was not a fool. If she hid it, she could discover it. After all, ninth uncle knew many techniques, feng shui, physiognomy, catching ghosts, and exorcism. Maybe you can use physiognomy to discover some of your own situations, so it's better to explain it directly to Uncle Jiu. As for whether Uncle Jiu would think that he was killed by an old ghost who gave up and was reborn, Li Qiuxia believes it is possible, but not very likely. After all, the person who gave up was a footman. Uncle Jiu, who was sitting on the side listening to Li Qiuxia's words, had a face that changed back and forth like singing an opera. There were many things that Li Qiuxia had said about himself that could be answered. Whether it's my senior brothers or disciples, even if I'm liked by my junior sister Sugarcane Guru, and I have an old lover named Mi Qilian, Li Qiuxia knows. Is this child really a time traveler or someone who knows their own situation, telling this child about their situation to deceive me? Seeing Uncle Jiu not speaking, Li Qiuxia said, Uncle Jiu, I know what I said is too surreal and unacceptable, but please believe that what I said is true and there is no intention of deceit. If you don't believe it, I remember that most of the disciples of Mao Shan worship their ancestors, and I can come there to verify it. Upon hearing Li Qiuxia's words, Uncle Jiu pondered for a moment and said, since that's the case, come with me. Without hesitation, Li Qiuxia stood up and followed Uncle Jiu. Soon, the two of them arrived at a temple where a clay statue of Uncle Jiu's ancestor was enshrined. After entering the room, Uncle Jiu took out a bowl, poured it into a bamboo tube, and walked up to Li Qiuxia, handing him the bowl and a silver needle. Pierce your hand and drop a drop of blood into the bowl. Li Qiuxia took the silver needle and hesitated for a moment, then looked at Uncle Jiu. Uncle Jiu, please help me prick it. I'm afraid of pain and feel dizzy. Uncle Jiu silently looking at Li Qiuxia, Uncle Jiu raised his hand and pierced her hand with a silver needle, dropping a drop of blood into the bowl. Then he lit 3 incense sticks and placed them in front of his grandfather. As the cigarette rose, Li Qiuxia saw a golden light appear on the ancestor who was originally a clay sculpture. Then, the golden light flew onto him. After being enveloped by the golden light, Li Qiuxia first felt warm, and then felt a piercing pain on her body, not only on her body, but also in her eyes. In Uncle Jiu's vision, after being shrouded in golden light, Li Qiuxia began to have black energy on her body. After the black energy appeared, Uncle Jiu couldn't help but take 2 steps back, while using his magic to avoid being stained by the black energy. Uncle Jiu was very clear about what this black energy was. It was a curse, and there was also a violent energy. It was not a comfortable thing for cultivators to have it stained. Li Qiuxia's black aura was not too much on her body and quickly dissipated, but there was more black aura in her eyes. She brushed it like laser eyes and Superman's laser, but their one was red, while her own one was black. Thank you to readers 18575. And WJP giving monthly tickets as gifts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 4. Apprenticeship and Art. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Qiuxia's eyes were filled with at least 1 cup of tea-time black air before stopping. Along with the black air appeared blood, 2 bloodstains of tears, adding a touch of horror and ferocity to his originally cute little face, which was like a porcelain doll. After the black air dissipated, Jin Guang stayed on Li Qiuxia's body for a while, then flashed onto Jiushu's body, and then returned to the clay sculpture. I understand, Grandmaster. Ninth Uncle respectfully bowed to the clay sculpture, then turned his head to look at Li Qiuxia about to say something when he heard Li Qiuxia shouting like killing a pig, "It hurts me so much, it hurts so much. Ling Qi is just like this. I have never done anything immoral before. Why did Grandmaster treat me like this? It's so unlucky. Don't howl, don't be in the midst of blessings. What Grandmaster just did for you was baptism. Not only did he wash your scriptures and marrow, but he also removed the curse from your body. Such a good thing. If other cultivators come across you and will definitely fly happily, you will complain about Grandmaster." Uncle Jiu looked at Li Qiuxia with a dark face. Upon hearing Uncle Jiu's words, Li Qiuxia stopped howling and her face changed. "It's so good, then I'll quickly kowtow to Grandmaster," she said, kneeling on the ground. "Grandmaster is on the ground. I don't know how Grandmaster takes care of me. Those who don't know are innocent. Grandmaster is not to blame." After finishing kowtowing to Grandmaster, Li Qiuxia suddenly thought of something: curse. "Jiushu, do you think I have a curse on me?" Joshu, whether in my past life or this life, I have never provoked anyone else. How could I have a curse on me? Uncle Joe glanced at Lichioxia and said, the curse on you is not something you provoke others to contract, but something that comes with you. The curse that comes with it. Is it the curse that writes the wheel I? There is a possibility. After speaking, Lichioxia turned her gaze to Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe, you should have verified my true identity. Can I join your sect and learn from you? Upon hearing Lichioxia's words, Uncle Joe replied, Grandmaster has indeed confirmed your true identity and baptized you. Your current divine body is also very suitable for cultivation. Are you sure you want to join my sect? There are many high-skilled mages in Maoshan, and I can send you to Maoshan to worship them. Maybe you can become my junior brother then. Upon hearing this, Lichioxia shook her head like a tambourine. No, I don't want it. I want to worship you as my teacher. Uncle Joe, don't you know? In my first world, you are known as the Holy Master of all realms. Almost all the travelers who cross the zombie world must worship you as their teacher. You have trained countless disciples of the travelers. Master of all realms. Do I still have this title in your world? Hearing Lichioxia's words, Joshu, who had a good face, couldn't help but smile on his face. This title is quite good, but it's a bit too flamboyant. Uncle Joe, do you think you can accept me as a disciple? Uncle Joe nodded and said, okay, I'll take you as my disciple. Upon seeing Uncle Joe agree, Lichioxia immediately knelt down on the ground and bowed 3 times, saying, Master, please accept my disciple's bow. Well, get up. There's still some time before dawn. You go take a break first. After dawn, I'll introduce you to 2 senior brothers. It's Master. Lying in bed, Lichioxia recalled some of today's situations. First, she traveled to a child in the Yuzibo family and complained about it for a long time. Then, for some reason, she fainted and slept until night. Then, she realized that she might have bloodstained disease and might not even live until the night of extermination. Before she could complain, she found herself in a zombie world and met Uncle Nine. After telling Uncle Joe about his background and some information, he found his grandfather to verify his true identity. He then tossed around like Ling Chi for a while, and Uncle Joe told him that he had removed the curse. Uncle Joe then accepted him as a disciple, and his day was simply brilliant. Wait, Grandmaster has dispelled the curse on me, shouldn't I have to die? Thinking of this, Lichioxia couldn't help but feel happy, but it didn't last long. It can't be considered that I don't have to die at all. After all, the night of the extermination was an unavoidable issue. Although Lichioxia slept for an unknown amount of time when she came over, traveling in this world and being baptized by the outside world still made Lichioxia feel very tired, and she fell asleep shortly after. The next day, Lichioxia met her 2 senior brothers, Qiusheng and Wenkai. They were very happy to have an additional junior brother, and they both refused to accept each other and wanted to become senior brothers. As for Wenkai, he followed Uncle Joe from a young age, and according to his seniority, he should be considered a senior brother. However, Wenkai's qualifications were not as good as Qiusheng's, and his martial arts were not as good as Qiusheng's. Therefore, Qiusheng did not accept Wenkai at all. However, Wenkai would not recognize Qiusheng as a senior brother. After all, he was admitted to Uncle Joe's sect before Qiusheng. After joining the 9 Uncle sect, Lichioxia began to learn art. Of course, she did not directly start practicing Taoism, but first learned to read. Although Lichioxia was not illiterate in her previous life, her writing during the Republic of China era was different from that of today. Perhaps due to her young age, or perhaps due to her high spirit of being reborn through time travel, Lichioxia only took 2 days to recognize all the words. After learning how to recognize characters, Uncle Joe asked Lichioxia to read some Taoist scriptures and take medicinal baths every day. After half a month of hard work, Lichioxia finally began practicing the Maoshan technique. Due to the depletion of spiritual energy in the era of the end of the Dharma, various sects have modified their martial arts to adapt to the times. Originally, simply practicing qi was unreliable. Now, not only do they need to practice qi, but they also need to use the power of the stars, the power of the moon and the power of the rising sun, and the power of the purple glow. Depending on their cultivation level, new levels have also emerged in the era of the end of the Dharma. As a sorcerer who can infuse qi into the body, there are 9 levels of sorcerers. Each level of sorcerer can infuse an additional layer of spiritual energy than the previous level. The 9th level of spiritual energy is considered a successful sorcerer, but of course, there are also those with outstanding qualifications. For example, in Mao Shan, 9 levels of spiritual energy are usually practiced in a scattered manner, while in Mao Shan, the maximum amount of spiritual energy can be infused is 60.9. For example, Jiu Shu, in his previous years, he had already introduced 63 qi channels in Mao Shan, which only a few people in his generation could match. After achieving the completion of the sorcerer, it is necessary to condense these spiritual energies into a strand of magic and send them into the elixir field. The more spiritual energies are fused, the purer the magic will be, and the stronger the Taoist techniques will be. The cultivator who condenses the magic power is called a Taoist, and even in the late Dharma era, only those who condense the magic power can be called a Taoist. The level of a Taoist is also divided into 9 levels, which requires gathering 100 strands of magic to open up the meridians and become a human teacher. This level of human teacher is also the minimum standard for a Taoist, which is to use magic to refine the soul and refine the 3 souls and 7 souls. This is the earth teacher. Because the soul is strong, the earth teacher can use some of the earth's power to make it easier to see some of the earth's meridians, and then the heavenly teacher. The heavenly teacher needs to transform the soul into the Yuan Shen, because only the Yuan Shen can receive the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Due to her strong spiritual power, as soon as she practiced, Li Qiuxia felt the spiritual energy around her. After feeling this spiritual energy, Li Qiuxia operated her martial arts and drew it towards her divine body. The spiritual energy was drawn to Li Qiuxia's divine body and integrated into various parts of her divine body, but most of it was integrated into his eyes. That is to say, at this moment, Li Qiuxia speculated that she might have opened her Sharingan before. Thank you to Reader 4664 for giving away the monthly pass. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 5. Strive to cultivate. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Is this my Sharingan? It looks really different from the Uchiha family, is it because it dispels the curse? In the room of the Yizhuang, Li Qiuxia looked at her own eyes in the mirror, and 3 distinct black and white eyes appeared in each of them. The Sharingan Goyu of the original Uchiha family was black, while Li Qiuxia's Goyu was platinum, looking much more handsome and gorgeous than before. In addition, the members of the Uchiha family feel a chill when they open their Sharingan, while Li Qiuxia does not feel that chill when she opens her Sharingan, but rather gives a sense of authority. Although the Sharingan underwent mutation under the baptism of the founder, its intended functions were not lost. Insight, replication, and illusion, these 3 functions, appeared in Li Qiuxia's mind after his spiritual energy was activated by the Sharingan. Although I don't know when I will go back, I guess it's just like when I came over. When I went back, I couldn't help but feel lost in thought. Originally, I was worried about how to write down Uncle Joe's book before going back, but now there is a copy of Right Will I, which can be of great help to me. After being activated by spiritual energy to Right Will I's, Li Qiuxia worked hard during the day to watch Jiushu's various collections, as well as Taoist talismans. At night, she stayed up all night and used spiritual energy to perceive spiritual energy and strengthen the spiritual body, especially the eyes, which were connected to the brain. When strengthening the eyes, it also strengthened the spirit. So in this situation, Li Qiuxia was able to perceive more and more spiritual energy, from the 48 spiritual energy she initially cultivated to the most outstanding 69 spiritual energy in Maoshan. Yes, Li Qiuxia felt the 48 spiritual energy during her initial cultivation. The reason why she could feel so much was partly due to the spirit strengthened by the Sharingan, and partly due to the baptism of her ancestor. In her past life, Li Qiuxia watched countless novels and knew the importance of foundation. Therefore, at the sorcerer level, Li Qiuxia tried her best to achieve perfection. What's wrong with the 69 spiritual energies? She has her own writing will eyes and can definitely surpass this stage. After learning about Li Qiuxia's thoughts, Uncle Jiu was very satisfied. He had originally wanted to persuade his disciples to do their best to lay a foundation in the sorcerer stage, so that he could make better breakthroughs in the future. Even if there was no breakthrough, he still had an advantage in the same level. Unexpectedly, he knew it himself without saying it. During this period, someone once came to ask Uncle Jiu for help with feng shui, catching ghosts, and warding off evil spirits. However, Li Qiuxia would go to see feng shui. She didn't go to catch ghosts or warding off evil spirits. It wasn't because Li Qiuxia was afraid of ghosts and didn't dare to go, but because Li Qiuxia spent all her time practicing at night. Although practical combat is important, the most important thing now is to improve her cultivation and protect her life. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. It took Li Qiuxia a month to copy the collection of Uncle Jiu and the Maoshan classics that Uncle Jiu carried in his mind. Although he couldn't guarantee to use them immediately when encountering problems, if he had to think for a period of time, he would probably be able to come up with targeted methods. Moreover, even some Taoist techniques and talismans that Li Qiuxia knows to remember cannot be used. On the one hand, they have not been practiced, and on the other hand, they require mana to be used. Li Qiuxia has not yet consolidated her mana. During these 3 months, Li Qiuxia has been able to perceive 99 spiritual energy channels and is about to break through 100 channels. Tonight is the time to break through 100 channels of spiritual energy. In the past, there was only himself in Li Qiuxia's room, but today, outside of Li Qiuxia, there was also Jiushu in the room. Li Qiuxia had told Jiushu before that her goal was to synthesize one strand of magic from 100 spiritual energies. On the 90.9 spiritual energies, Li Qiuxia had been paused for half a month, spending half a month strengthening her physique with spiritual energy and writing will eyes with spiritual energy. Whether it was writing will eyes or divine bodies, Li Qiuxia felt a limit at this stage. He felt that it was time for the sorcerer to become a Taoist. As Li Qiuxia's master, Jiushu, who was guarding the Dharma on the side, was very nervous. He was very satisfied with his disciple, polite, hard-working, and also knew some good dishes. Although he couldn't make them himself, under his guidance, his literary skills improved by more than one level. In addition, it is true that when watching feng shui, Jiushu took Li Qiuxia out, which was very prestigious. As Li Qiuxia practiced her martial arts, the surrounding spiritual energy began to converge. One path was 5, 10, 20, 50, 70, and 90, and it didn't slow down until it reached 90. 91, 90.2, 90.3, 90.9, and after reaching 90.9 spiritual energy, the spiritual energy stopped, and then after a while, another spiritual energy appeared. After the 100th spiritual energy converged outside Li Qiuxia's body, the 99 spiritual energies that had stopped suddenly gathered together and began to merge, forming a wisp of spiritual energy directly in the outside world. Then, it melted into Li Qiuxia's Baihui acupoint. Uncle Jiu, who was protecting Li Qiuxia from the outside world, couldn't help but be taken aback when he saw this scene. It turns out that when the spiritual energy reaches 100 levels, it will directly transform into a strand. This saves a lot of effort, and there is no need to go to the Dantian to merge. There are 2 difficulties for a sorcerer to overcome a Taoist. One is to find the location of the elixir field in the underworld, and the other is to merge spiritual energy into a strand of magic. For Li Qiuxia, the the two difficult levels for others are not that difficult. Firstly, in terms of finding the location of the elixir field, Li Qiuxia has such strong spiritual power that she cannot find the location of the elixir field. Then, spiritual energy is fused directly into the outside world, and Li Qiuxia directly incorporates it into the elixir field to form magic. After the spiritual energy was integrated into Li Qiuxia's body, it quickly arrived at the location of the Dantian under Li Qiuxia's mental control and integrated into it. The Dantian, which was originally pitch black and had no brightness, also became shiny after the incorporation of this spiritual energy. Jiu Shu, the protector of the external Dharma, saw that Li Qiuxia had incorporated spiritual energy into the elixir field and transformed it into magical power. He walked out of Li Qiuxia's room, and the dangerous level had already passed. There was no need for his master to worry about the rest. However, since Li Qiuxia had broken through the path of a Taoist, he should have learned some other skills, such as boxing, drawing symbols, and especially drawing symbols. As a Taoist, you don't even know the most basic drawing symbols. Is this really reasonable? Perhaps it is reasonable with other Taoists, but it is absolutely unreasonable with his ninth uncle Lin Fengjiao. Even if a disciple only knows how to draw ghost talismans, they must know what the talismans are. Otherwise, it would be rumored that Lin Fengjiao does not teach his disciples. After a night of cultivation, the next morning after Li Qiuxia finished her training, she was arranged by Uncle Jiu. In the morning, she punched, drew talismans, and in the afternoon, she learned Taoist techniques such as exorcism spells, hemostasis spells, protective spells, and ignition spells. In addition to these, after Li Qiuxia became a Taoist, Jiu also entrusted Li Qiuxia with the heart method of valley clothes, which was developed by Mao Shan at the Taoist level. The heart method can refine spiritual energy through food, increase magic power, and also form magic protection for the body. As he taught, Uncle Jiu became more and more satisfied with Li Qiuxia. He taught everything thoroughly and was not afraid of hardship or fatigue. He also knew how to save money. For example, in the morning, Li Qiuxia would draw symbols on stones and sand tables until he could draw them all at once. Even if he had already seen and remembered all the symbols in his collection, he would never draw anything else throughout the morning. Even if he already knew how to draw them, he would add tasks to himself. At night, not to mention, he uses cultivation instead of sleeping every day. He is very diligent. Through living together during this time, Uncle Jiu has also learned some about Li Qiuxia's personality. The reason why Li Qiuxia works so hard and diligently is partly because she really likes Taoism, and partly because she is afraid of death. Li Qiuxia had told Uncle Jiu before that she didn't know when she would brush like when she came over and then go back. Therefore, before going back, she must work hard to cultivate. Otherwise, it would be better if she could come back. If she couldn't come back, she wouldn't be a complete calf. Adhere to originality and eliminate non-compliant commitment letters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors.